Hi guys, hope you're well. I hope you had a good week and I hope you're all ready to take on the final open workout of the regular open for this year before we move on to the quarterfinals. Okay, so just on that note, if you didn't see your message the other day about the quarterfinals, then make sure you check it out. And like I say, if you are there or thereabouts, then make sure you drop me a message so we can make sure your training leading up to it over the next week or so is where it needs to be so that you're ready to compete over that weekend. Okay, if not, don't worry about it. Then just focus on this workout. Okay, so obviously this workout, it's a nice two-part workout. All right, you've got what's predominantly a gymnastics focused piece at the beginning, going straight into a max lift. Okay, so it provides a nice little bit of balance, especially when you think that the last 2 weeks have been much more body weight / very lightweight focused. All right, so first up, obviously for this workout, make sure you've had a good look at the workout, the movement standards, all that kind of stuff. Especially if you're filming, make sure you check the video submission standards before you start. Okay, there's nothing that's too unusual in there. Obviously, the only thing that might be a little bit difficult, especially if you're doing the workout at home, is that you need to make sure you set up your thruster bar 8 feet away from the rig. Okay, so just make sure you can do that. If not, obviously if space is limited, then the best thing I can say is do your best with the space you've got. I know for some of you it'll be quite comfortable, others it's going to be very, very difficult. All right, the workout itself, all right, obviously I trust you've all taken a look at the workout. All right, if not, then obviously you're going to start off, you're going to do your 15 front squats into your 30 toes to bar into your 15 thrusters. All right, then you've got a minute's rest. Then you're going to go for 15 front squats into 30 chest to bar into 15 thrusters, then another minute's rest. All right, and then you're going to go for 15 front squats into 30 bar muscle ups into 15 thrusters, and then you're done. Okay, and then from there you're going to go straight into the complex, which is a deadlift into a clean, hand clean, and then jerk. All right, simply just building up to a max weight. Okay, so we'll talk about the workout in a little bit more detail in a second. Obviously, first thing we're just going to go through, just like the last few weeks, is your warm-ups. All right, so obviously your warm-up for this workout is going to be quite broad, just because of the number of different elements to it. All right, so obviously, you know, you've got a lot of time on the rig, so you want to make sure that you open up your shoulders. All right, so if you've got some specific mobility exercises that you do for those, then make sure you do that. All right, obviously, being more mobile through your shoulders is going to make your kit much more efficient. It's going to help you hit the proper positions of your kit much better. All right, which is going to make it easier with the high volume gymnastics that you've got to do. All right, on top of that, you also want to spend some time just opening up your hips. All right, obviously you've got the squats and the thrusters. All right, I'd recommend that you're doing squats for your cleans and hand cleans as well, if that's going to help you lift a bit more weight. So you want to make sure your hips are nice and mobile. All right, so spend some time, you know, when you first get to them, just working on those areas, making sure they're prepared, ready to go. Okay, when you come into kind of a more specific warm up, all right, you're going to have to think of your warm-up. It's a little bit different to the last few weeks in the sense of we have to warm up for the workout, but then equally you have to do some kind of warm-up ready for the max lift, so you're going into that nice and prepared. In terms of a warm-up for the workout, okay, you want to start off, all right, just going through your movement patterns. Okay, so I'd recommend just doing 2 to 3 sets. All right, just go for 5 beat swings on the bar. Okay, just focusing on your form, open up your shoulders, get comfortable up on the rig. Okay, and then I just want you to grab an empty barbell, and you're just going to go for 10 empty bar thrusters. Okay, and then you're going to go for 10 lateral lunges with an overhead reach. Okay, that's going to help open up your hips and your shoulders, ready for the movement that you're about to do. Okay, you're just going to work through that 2 to 3 times. All right, no need to rush through it, but it'll just give you a chance just to open up, start to raise your heart rate a little bit, be a little bit more dynamic than the mobility that you're doing at the beginning. Okay, from there, you're just going to work through 2 to 3 sets again. Okay, you're going to do 5 thrusters. All right, this time I want you to do it at the workout weight. Okay, then you're just going to jump up on the rig. You're just going to do 3 toes to bar, and then 3 chest to bar, and then 1 bar muscle up. Okay, for that rig complex, I don't want you to rush. You can drop down in between each rep, in between each different exercise, that's fine. All right, it's just a case of warming up that movement pattern, and again, starting to get your heart rate up a little bit higher. Okay, again, you're going to work through that 2 to 3 times. All right, once you've done that and you're more prepared for the workout, all right, then I want you to start to warm up your clean and jerks. Okay, so in terms of warming them up, what you want to do ideally is build to the weight that you want to do your first attempt at. Okay, so on the workout, you've probably got enough time to have definitely 3, maybe 4 attempts. Okay, so you don't need to warm up to the heaviest weight you're targeting. You just need to warm up to that very first weight. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of time in between the two, in between, say, you warm up and then in between actually doing the lifts. So there's not too much point in warming up to your heaviest weight now. You're just going to end up accumulating a bit more fatigue. Okay, so you're just going to warm up that full complex, so deadlift, clean, hand clean and jerk, up to your starting weight. Okay, obviously then again from there your heart rate will have dropped a little bit before we start the workout, which isn't ideal. Okay, so we're just going to pick the pace up a little bit now. So then you're just going to work through 2 to 3 sets. All right, again, just do 5 thrusters. Okay, it's going to help warm up your front squat and your thruster and get your heart rate nice and high. Okay, and then I just want you to start off on the first round. You're just going to do 5 toes to bar. On the second round, 5 chest to bar. On the third round, just do 1 to 2 bar muscle ups. Don't do too many. All right, and then you're going to finish off just with 5 calories on the bike at a fast pace. Rest. And then go again. All right, again, this is just going to get your heart rate up and just recap the movements that you're going to go through in the workout. All right. Again, just manage your fatigue here. Take your time between rounds. All right. Obviously, like I say, it's quite an extensive warm up because you've got a lot of movements to do. All right, but it's going to make sure that you're nice and prepared for the workout itself. Okay. For the workout itself, right, obviously that first part of the workout, or 21.3, it's going to be the strategy is going to be quite varied depending on where you're at with those gymnastic movements. Okay, having done the workout, the front squats and thrusters aren't too much of an issue. Okay, they kind of just sandwich the gymnastic movements. What's really going to make or break your score is going to be how well you do up on the rig. Okay, so if the front squat and thruster weight is quite comfortable for you, then I would definitely recommend trying to get through those unbroken. The minute's rest gives you a good recovery, so you'll feel okay by the time you start the next round. And they're not too heavy, so there's not really, unless you need to break the weight just because of kind of muscular fatigue, then try and hang on. Okay, one thing I will say for the front squats is don't go in a traditional front rack. Okay, when you look at the movement standards, the bar has to be on your chest, but your hands don't have to be on the bar. Okay, so what I would recommend is either going with your arms crossed or out in front. Okay, so keep your arms nice and relaxed before you jump up on the rig. Okay, if you end up spending more time than you need to in that front rack position, then it's just going to add a little bit more fatigue to your bicep and lats that you don't really need for the rest of the workout. Okay, so when you do the front squats, either go arms across or out in front. All right, again, just keep it relaxed so that you're staying nice and fresh, ready for when you get up on the bar. Okay, again, thrusters, obviously, then you will need to go in that front rack position. Focus on getting through those as fast as possible. All right, don't spend any time at the top resting or any time on your front rack resting. Just get through those, knock them out. It's going to buy you time for later on in the workout. Okay, for the gymnastic movements, obviously there's a lot. Okay, with all 3 parts combined, you're potentially going to be doing 90 reps up on the rig. Okay, so it's definitely a case of managing your capacity so that you don't hit burnout on any particular movement, then also so the cumulative fatigue from any particular movement doesn't add up and affect you, especially on the bar muscle ups, which obviously is going to be the hardest movement. All right, so for the toes to bar, okay, even if you can do the 30 toes to bar, then I wouldn't necessarily recommend going through them unbroken. All right, what you want to try and do for those, they're probably going to be the easiest movement, so try and keep them in relatively kind of bite-sized sets, so kind of anywhere from between 30 to 50% of your max, depending on obviously how high your max is. So, you're probably going to be looking at either doing maybe 2 sets of 15, all right, 3 sets of 10, okay, or breaking it down even smaller into sets of kind of 5 to 7. One thing I will say is the smaller you go with the sets, the more disciplined you're going to have to be with your rest so that kind of time doesn't slowly creep away. All right, so if you are going on the smaller side of the spectrum for your sets, then make sure you're quite disciplined with your rest. Keep it to like say 5 seconds at a time, jump back up and go again. All right, you will need to manage yourself a little bit through the workout as well. If you feel comfortable, then great, keep going. But if you do feel like you're starting to fatigue a little bit too quick, then you might need to just make your sets smaller, but that doesn't necessarily mean slower as long as you're disciplined with those rest, okay, with the rest. All right, obviously, like I say, it's going to vary quite a bit depending on what your max set is, all right? But like I say, I would say if your max set is more than 30, go for 2 15s, okay? If it's between 20 and 30, go for 3 10s. If it's between 10 and 20, okay, then that's when you want to be going for 5s and 7s. If it's below 10, then that's when you're going to have to be a little bit smarter, probably go for 3 to 5s, okay? The same principle applies to your chest to bar. Okay, so like I say, if it's more than 30, your max set of chest to bar, then you probably get away with 2 15s. Between 20 and 30, then go for 10s. Between 10 and 20, then go for between 5 and 7. If it's less than 10, then then you might have to break it up a little bit more. The chest to bar are obviously going to be more difficult than toes to bar. A, just because it tends to be a more challenging movement, but B, you've got that cumulative fatigue, all right? The bar muscle-ups, okay, obviously, again, bar muscle-ups is going to be quite a wide range of strategies here, depending on your ability, okay? Even if you can do big sets of bar muscle-ups, all right, again, you still need to focus on managing your energy, all right? So I'd say, you know, even if you can do, say, 20 bar muscle-ups or more, don't go out on the first set looking to do more than, say, 10, okay? Keep it in those smaller, relative to your max, consistent sets with that short rest in between. A, because of cumulative fatigue from the previous two movements, but B, because you don't want to go for a big set at the beginning and then end up doing single reps towards the end, okay? Again, that's just going to cost you a bit more time. If you kind of at one end, if you're at the other end of the spectrum, okay, where bar muscle-ups are quite an inconsistent movement for you, or you're still kind of doing 1 to 2 at a time, okay, then it's worth just going for literally 1 at a time with a reasonable rest in between, with the aim of getting through as many as you can, obviously hopefully finishing all 30, all right, but you are just going to have to manage your time well there, because again, if you're doing 1 or 2 at a time with that short rest, then that time's gonna slip away, okay? If you're somewhere in the middle, so you know you can kind of do between kind of 5 and 10 reps at a time, then I recommend going for sets of 3 to 5, all right? You might start off with a set of 5 at the beginning, okay? And then drop to 3s later on in the workout, again, just to manage your fatigue, all right? It's not necessarily the total volume of bar muscle-ups, all right? Because, you know, 30 reps of bar muscle-ups isn't necessarily a huge amount to do over the course of a workout. It's more just that they're all in one go, okay? Which means that you do have to be a little bit smarter about your strategy, all right? In terms of grip, obviously, if you can keep your arms relaxed on your front squats, that's going to help you grip, all right? There is going to be some accumulation of grip fatigue, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I think that minute's rest just gives you a little breather, and because none of the other movements are particularly grippy, then you should be okay. So don't worry about that too much, right? You're really just going to be focusing on managing your fatigue and obviously your arms, shoulders, lats, and core. All right, what we'll say is make sure before the workout you've prepared your hands. All right, if you've got tape, strap them up. It's a lot of time upon the rig, so you want to make sure that you don't get into the bar muscle-ups and end up with a rip, because that could add, you know, a fair bit of time onto your score. All right, as you're going through the workout, all right, keep an aggressive mindset. When you're doing lots of breaks like this in a workout, it's easy to relax and slow down, all right, but you need to keep an aggressive mindset to get a good time on this first part, okay? Once the first part's done, obviously either once you hit the time cap or as soon as you've finished the last thruster on that last round, all right, you've got 7 minutes to hit the max for the complex, okay? So obviously for the complex, like I say, you're probably gonna have time definitely for 3 attempts, maybe for 4, depending on how recovered you feel straight after the last set of thrusters, okay? And obviously don't forget you're gonna have to make time to recover in between those reps, all right? So plan for 3, and if you get 4, that's a bonus, all right? Your first rep wants to be one that you know you can make, okay? So if you know your max clean and jerk, I'd say start off roughly around 80%, okay? That's going to give you a little bit of leeway, because obviously you're going to have to do the 2 cleans in there and the deadlift, which is more of an annoyance than anything else, and then the jerk after doing the workout, okay? So I say 80% would be a good place to start, all right? And then see if you can go in kind of 5% jumps. Obviously those jumps you'll have to play by feel a little bit. If you feel really strong and you feel like you can push and go for bigger jumps, then do, all right? You're better off if you can, okay, if you're feeling fresh, doing less attempts and making bigger jumps, just because you're going to be more relaxed, less rushed, all right, you can have more rest in between your reps, okay? But like I say, just play it by ear. You're probably going to find that there's going to be either the jerk is going to be your sticking point, all right, or it might just be, or it might be the hand clean, all right? The first clean should be okay. So kind of think about that when you're planning your weights. Think about, you know, how your hand clean might be compared to your clean and how your jerk might be compared to your clean. So you can have a better idea of where that 80% for you might be. If you're not sure, just give me a shout, all right? Obviously, there is some shoulder fatigue from the workout, all right? But it's probably, hopefully, you know, for me, it wasn't too bad. For you, it might affect you a little bit more depending on kind of how well you move through those gymnastic movements, all right? But it probably won't have as much of an effect on your jerk as what you think, because your legs are going to be quite fresh, okay? Obviously with that deadlift into the clean, all right, it's worth just practicing a few of those beforehand. Obviously, you know, you can't drop the bar. It has to be a touch and go rep, all right? But you want to make sure when you do go down from that deadlift that you're making sure you're getting yourself in a good setup position for that first clean. All right, so don't just let your chest drop to the floor. Make sure that you're still bending your knees, dropping your hips down, so you end up in the same kind of start position as you would from a regular clean setup position, as opposed to doing it more like how you might do, say, touch and go cleans if it was a high volume workout where you've got a lot of reps to do lighter weight. Okay, it's going to make you pull much smoother. It's going to make sure you can use your quads and hamstrings much more instead of relying on your lower back, which ultimately is going to help you lift a bit more weight. Okay. I know obviously there's a lot in there, guys, so if you've got any questions, feel free to give me a shout. All right, like I say, it's the kind of workout where it's much more individual in terms of your strategy. So send me a message if you're not sure about anything, and we can have a chat about it, and make sure you get the best possible score. All right, good luck, enjoy it. It's the last one. See you all soon.